Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we are traveling in a hospitable way, maybe transporting from point A to point B. What are we talking about? We are talking about travel, transportation, and hospitality. How have these three industries changed? What haven't changed in these? How is technology starting to intersect or converge its way into each of these industries? That's what we're here to talk about on VCTV today. And a big thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. If you like what you hear today, make sure you click that big subscribe button to get more and more content from us on a daily basis. Also, if you'd like to be on a show like today, like Julio and others, do reach out to the team and or myself, and we'd love to have you as an investor share your thoughts and insights on what you're seeing or not seeing happen in different technologies, industries, and regions around the world. Entrepreneurs, this is also an opportunity for you as well to take advantage of. There is a virtual stage here at VCTV for you to get up on, to pitch us as investors focused on your area, to give you real-time feedback on your product, company, and or service, along with building foundational relationships with us focused on your area and our live audience. Reach out to the team and or myself, and we'd love to find the right set and the right topic for you as well. And a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go ahead and get started and talk today about travel, transportation, and hospitality with one of the most famous and also one of the common voices and faces that we have here on VCTV. Julio, welcome back to the show of New York Bay Capital. If you can, a little intro and a little background for everybody who may not know you.
Hi, Kyle. Very nice to see you. Thank you so much to our hosts, LATOKEN. Love VCTV. Love being here. And I hope that we can instruct our viewers, or at least give them something to think about, something to ponder on this special day. New York Bay Capital is first and foremost a financial advisor, but we also have a fund that invests in companies that we advise at the same time. We think that people who, in order to heed our advice, sometimes need capital. And so we're happy to not just go around proffering advice and telling people what to do, but fund those initiatives. So I guess it's the old merchant banking model. We are quite active in the industries we just that we're talking about today: travel, hospitality, transportation, leisure in general. We have investments or clients in all of those sectors. And we're not new to the industry, so we've experienced ups and downs. And right now, luckily, we're not specialized in travel, hospitality, leisure, transportation only, because if that were the case, I probably wouldn't be smiling as much as I am today. Because I can tell you from our experience in these sectors that things have been very challenging this year. And the worst part is that they don't look a whole lot better anytime soon. Although there are bright spots, which I'm going to get into in a moment. But to finish the intro, New York Bay Capital is obviously based in New York. We do have a presence around the world. We have representatives or offices in many countries, and particularly in Latin America. We are strong in Latin America. So we know Latin America, and we know, of course, the United States and Canada. So most of my examples come from that area of the world. In some ways, they might apply globally, and in some cases, they are very specific to Latin America. But that's really where we tend to focus our resources.
Wonderful. And Julio, we're so excited to have you here because, again, you do focus on this. You also focus on Latin America, which I do want to hear about as well. But talk to us on what's happening. What are you seeing in general around these three areas of travel, transportation, and hospitality? And we know they're not your core, but you do focus on them in some respects. So tell us what you're seeing. Where is the current state of all three of these areas from your perspective as an investor?
Yeah, and it's not that they're not our core. It's just that we have 4 or 5 verticals that we all know equally well, and so it always pays to diversify in life. And I think this is a great example. Right now, the travel, hospitality, leisure industry has been hit hard by the virus. It's no secret. It's no news. no one's learning anything by me saying that. But I can tell you that the expectations of suffering a hit when the virus started in February and March were all that people were going to have one bad quarter, maybe two bad quarters. But if you had asked me, in February, if I thought that things would be still as bad as they are, and in many cases getting worse in November, I really would have thought that there was a completely pessimistic and unreasonable expectation to be talking about. And look, VCTV has been around for a while, and I'm sure we probably had a few months ago or 6 months ago events in which I and others probably said that things are getting better, that things are going to stabilize. But the reality right now is that we've seen 6 months of almost no travel and even less leisure and hospitality, are doing to the industry. I'm sitting here in one of the biggest cities in the world, where the good news is you can get a really good hotel for $100 a night, and they are, and there are people traveling into New York, and one of the things to talk about at lunch these days is so where you're staying and how much are you paying, and the best hotels are going for less than $200 a night. Hotels that used to collect $700 a night. And despite that, they're empty. Very few customers, and the customers who come for as little time as possible, and they are hit by all kinds of inconveniences, and of course, almost no options of what to do. So people tend to come because they have to come for business, have some meetings, but no one's visiting New York for any other reason. Museums are a little bit open, but not totally, and theaters are shut down, and all of the major theaters, Broadway, etc., they all announced that they're going to be closed for sure, at least until Memorial Day. So that means that the crisis is it will have lasted more than a year. And very few companies are going to be able to really survive that without some type of outside help from the government. So right now, fingers are crossed that no matter what happens politically, there's going to be more assistance of the kind that America saw, at least for a while, earlier this year. And with that, I think that you do have the possibility that a large percentage, but not all, of the players in the industry will survive. Now, that being said, and look, I could go on about with bad statistics. Air travel, we're in airlines, air travel is down. I shouldn't say we're in airlines, but we do have one company, which is an airline in Mexico. And despite their best efforts and even having maybe a leading competitive advantage in the form of really low fares, they are treading water. Not as much as others. The question is, who has the biggest hole in the hull? And some companies have a really big hole and have sunk or are sinking, and others have a small hole that they're attempting to cover up. So air travel's down. Hotel industry is down. We know of a lot of hotels that are now for sale. Investors had poured pretty good money into the travel and leisure industry until recently, but now you're looking at them trying to rescue some of those dollars by putting up the properties for sale. And certainly any new development, and we know of a few, are also they've put on the brakes.
So
whether
quick question
it's
about that.
in a city
Sorry,
or in a tourism. Yes.
Julio, quick question though. With that being said, so on the hotel front, let's talk about hospitality for just a minute around hotels. Is there an opportunity here? Is there a new business? Is there a new business model that may arise that you're seeing around the future of hotels? I mean, that's prime real estate in most cities and most locations. But I mean, just to let it go and go to waste seems like an opportunity for someone. What areas of opportunity are you starting to see specifically around that area of hotels and hospitality?
There are areas of opportunity, but we're a little bit in a conundrum. And so I'll get to the areas of opportunity in a moment. But the conundrum is, once the virus is over, and no one doubts it's going to be over, it's just going to, it's a matter of time. But at some point, there'll be a vaccine, or the entire population will have contracted the virus, and you know, people will be immune. You know, those who made it. The conundrum or the problem is that you're going to go back to the way things were more often than not. The fundamental model of a hotel is not going to change. There's still going to be hotels 2 years from today. So you cannot really come up with a new idea that will fundamentally change the industry, right? And back that idea, because the industry is not in need of fundamental change. It's just been shocked by an external event that will go away sooner or later. So entrepreneurs are a little bit between a rock and a hard place of you need to preserve most of what was making an industry still go. You The industry is not looking for wholesale change in the way of things were done, because we're not in that type of a crossroads. What we need to find out, or what we need to back right now, are ventures which can do one or two things differently and more efficiently, but still do not claim to be a completely new way of doing business. Because I think that's going to be a temporary situation. And when the industry comes back, if you're too different from the norm, you may have been successful during the virus, but then you're not going to be able to adapt to the normal again. You know, so we're focusing on companies that offer some either cost savings or some interesting value add, but to the basic business model that you're using. I mean, I have heard, for example, people say, well, if hotels are going to go out of business, we need to transform the hotels into schools, for example,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Because why? Well, schools right now need more room. And so why not be, allowing hotels to become schoolhouses for a while, I mean, for a while, New York allowed hotels to be homeless shelters. Maybe not quite schools, but at least it was a different use. And so the hotel owners were able to see some cash flow, although
Mm-hmm.
it brought some social problems, but some cash flow from the city as it hired hotels and transformed them into homeless shelters, because you had
Mm-hmm.
to have a better way to house the homeless for a while. Because that's a good solution. So if there were if a company came up saying, I have a new way of using the hotel temporarily so
Mm-hmm.
that we can bring revenue to that. And I'm going to be, through our app or through our technology, we are going to be able to find alternative uses of what was the typical hotel room. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to be booking, I don't know, I'm going to be bringing, as I said, schools or other things. That would be a good business model, but it still allows you to change and then go back to the way things were.
Right.
um, I don't think that schools in hotels is a winning business formula for the foreseeable future. I think it might be a temporary type of band-aid solution to the problem.
What about this flexible office space? That's also a trend, and kind of the term hoteling, which is been put out there, where certain corporations and SMBs, so small medium-sized businesses, are looking to provide this hoteling option for their employees, a flexible working remote type plan where they can be a little bit in the office. If there's not an office near them, that they can use hotels or co-working spaces or the like as touch points as well. Do you see that hoteling model starting to exist where hotels, for instance, may transform into temporary office spaces. I know in the Bay Area, we've started to see this. In other big cities, we've started to see this where hotels, people have been renting out rooms just as an external office for a day or for a long period. Do you see something similar in that space? And then I want to get to Latin America and what you're seeing there too. But first on the hoteling.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. I mean, look, you have got all this real estate. You need to be actively thinking how to use it, because it's still paying taxes, and it's still probably paying interest because it's probably mortgaged, and because that's how it works. And I love that idea of giving really temporary locations for offices. You do still have a need to meet, and hotels are a logical use for that. They're still not going to be able to make all of the money that they used to, and I don't think they're even going to come close to covering their expenses, but it's certainly the right way. Although we're living in at a time when WeWork, which was obviously almost the pioneer of this kind of cool shared spaces, is having some serious issues. So that was a great idea, and it really made life more efficient for a lot of folks for quite a while. But well, the company kind of overborrowed and grew too fast, and it's now having some serious problems.
Well,
But
and the model changed as well. Let's be honest about that. The model has also changed, that how people are not looking at these spaces, how they grew, where they were located. Let's not go too deep into WeWork's model. I want to bring us back to Latin America. So where and what are you seeing happening in these three areas when it comes to travel, transportation, hospitality happening in Latin America? Because that is an area you focus on so much, which is awesome because there is a huge amount of opportunity. There's a rising middle class. It is an emerging market all throughout the region. Would love to hear more of your thoughts as to what's happening on Latin America and what people should be paying attention to there.
Sure. For that, I've projected a couple of our interests in Latin America, and in terms of companies that we're very close to or have invested in. And so we could go. They're all in a way reflective of what's going on. If we start with Easy Life, Easy Life is an app. You can download it anytime. It's already available. You look it up on your phone, download Easy Life. Easy Life is a kind of an artificially intelligent powered app, which gives you suggestions as to what to do with your day, or what to do next week, or what to do in a situation of travel. But it's really designed more for the local resident of a city, to in these times of very different activities being available and a lot of activities being closed. It gives you suggestions based on a pretty extensive profile that it gets from you, as to what to do with your day. It'll suggest everything from Netflix movies to what restaurants to maybe order from, what yoga class to attend online. It drives on all that information that is out there, but that people may not be so used to looking for, because they didn't live that way before, and they might go to a yoga class, to their normal yoga class, but now they can't do that because the gym is closed, so they need to find alternatives. So this is almost like a dating app, which asks you a lot of questions about yourself. And when you download it, you'll see it takes a while to go through their questions, but it's in a friendly way. It doesn't come across as too intrusive. It just basically says, hey, what do you like to do? What are some of your favorite foods? What are some of your favorite movies? obviously the app knows where you are, and if you identify friends, it knows about your friends, and it can get very specific, and you'd be amazed at how good it is to give you advice and suggestions. Now, where this ties into the topic of the call today, of the meeting today, is that it's value added because it's curated. So in a situation where there's uncertainty, and the pandemic has brought in uncertainty to people's lives, they don't really know what to do, what they can do, who's open, who's not open, what has just been shut down. It's nice to have an app that guides you through the maze, so to speak. And I do think so there's an opportunity for companies like that to think about curated experiences. Even just the other day, I got an email. I could read it to you with some company. I haven't even looked into it. It said, "Boy, do you need a vacation today, don't you?" And I think everybody's looking like, yeah, I'd love a vacation. We're all stressed.
Sure.
We're all, wouldn't you love a vacation? But the problem is, well, so where do you go, and how do you know what's safe or what's not safe, or where are there even flights available, and how many? It's no longer, Expedia world, where you would have to, you could figure out a destination and maybe find, quickly organize your trip. No, no, no. Now you really need to read a lot more. Now you really need to research a lot more. Where can you go? Does that country have, a quarantine situation? If I go there, when I come back, am I gonna be able? Do I have to quarantine? Are a lot of new things. So apparently, this email I got today is an offer for an app or a service that will design a vacation for you in a tailored sort of way. But it incorporating a lot of information that you didn't usually have, which is what is preventing you from going on a vacation, right? So Easy Life or these other apps, I think they represent a response to the crisis in the form of curated experiences.
Okay.
The other companies that I have here, the one on my right now, that one, Rotamundos, is a travel reservations company in Latin America, which is made as Latin America's response to an Indian company called Oyo. OYO is a famous company in India, and they have been able to get a lot of travelers interested in using their site for reservations, because they have signed up literally thousands of hotels that are family owned, that are small, that are not large chain hotels, and that have not been sought out by the people like Expedia. So they'll give you a different kind of an experience with, and these are small hotels which don't even have necessarily the money to advertise, and they're not even online. Sometimes you have to show up, you have to pay in cash, and a husband and wife might be running the hotel, and they might have 5 rooms, but they're probably in a really nice location, and and very helpful. So a company like Rotamundos or Oyo comes in, signs them up ahead of time, and all of a sudden you can get to that hotel through Expedia, because Rotamundos or Oyo have a deal with Expedia, or have a deal with TripAdvisor, or have a deal with Booking.com, and so all of a sudden you can find tiny boutique hotels in faraway places, that, and sometimes they're used, it's also a different kind of leisure crowd. It's the backpackers, it's the camping, glamping type of solution. And so this one company, they simply they've inserted themselves in the middle, so they don't own the hotel, and they don't necessarily have any problems of with Expedia. They're just a means for Expedia to have more properties which they want, and more importantly for the small hotel owners to finally be seen by the online world, and they also help you put together the whole trip experience, not just one night here, but they'll they'll counsel you into, spending a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in staying in different hotels with a whole itinerary, but with really unique experiences and very pretty places that Latin America, of course, has a lot to offer. We advise Holiday Inn Express. They're having all kinds of problems right now, but we have a good understanding of what it means to try and cater to a business traveler today, and how important it is to start marketing the fact that you're going to have a safe and clean experience. Has really become paramount in this drive to try and rescue some of your revenues. You have to offer those types of assurances to the hotel. That's clear. Viva Aerobus is the airline. It travels all over Mexico and into the US. It's a low-cost airline. It's the number, it was the number 4 airline in Mexico. It started the year as a number 3 airline in Mexico, and right now it's almost the number 2 airline in Mexico, because it has absorbed through its low fares a lot of higher priced travel that was taking place in the more expensive airlines.
So Julio, real quick, just jumping in on this, because you've mentioned so many great companies. Where are the areas of opportunity in Latin America, particularly, that people should be paying attention to, either as an investor or as an entrepreneur looking to start building, whether that be around travel, transportation, and or hospitality? Because there are not just direct but indirect opportunities to start building over the next 18 months that I think people should be aware of. What are you seeing that people can start paying attention to?
Well, we like medical tourism. I think Latin America, in addition to just plain tourism, has the whole aspect of medical tourism ahead of it. People may not need a vacation, or if they need a vacation, they may not afford it, or but they do need to get better if they are sick. And I don't have to tell you that the health system in the United States, I mean, I wouldn't call it a mess, but it's definitely a very big challenge for many people.
Yes.
If you have great insurance, if you're employed, if you're an executive somewhere, you have pretty good health coverage in the United States. But if you're not, if you're one of these people that we hear referred to in speeches, who cannot afford insurance, or who are afraid of expenses, they really need to look at the idea of traveling somewhere to get their health care. And many countries in Latin America, starting in Mexico, but going all the way through Costa Rica, Cuba, Argentina, Brazil, they have good healthcare. These countries have really invested in keeping their populations healthy, and you'd be amazed at what good services they have. So the idea of medical tourism perhaps can supplant some of that tourism that has been missing, and I would look into that.
Got it. And so in terms of advice for those looking to enter the Latin America market for the first time, so the LATAM market, if they're looking to get started and focusing on that demographic, or excuse me, geography there in Latin America, what advice would you have for them to get started? Because we know it can be difficult to expand globally, and specifically right now more than ever. So what advice do you have for those looking to start expanding into Latin America and taking advantage of these areas of opportunity?
Well, I mean, there are many ways to participate. Of course, depending on your means. If you're an individual investor, there are certainly many Latin American companies that trade in even in New York, or through the various bolsas, and through most brokers, you can buy most stocks anywhere around the world today, and you can certainly go and do some research and look at some companies that are well positioned. Now, if you are a fund investor, there are definitely many funds that are now investing outside of the United States in private equity, in venture capital, and there are some local funds that have been formed as well. There are local, funds in most countries that pursue interesting investment strategies. So you could give them a call. And then, of course, there's myriad advisors and people and consultants who are not that difficult to find, and you can ask them for tailored ways to to, to benefit from these trends. You have to be careful though.
Mhm.
Latin America always has the winning formula of if it works in other countries, it tends to work in Latin America a little bit later.
Mhm.
Um, and so franchising is always an interesting, an easy way for Latin Americans to make money, and therefore companies in franchising tend to be pretty good investments.
Mhm.
Um, Whoever is the franchise for a popular brand um, in the developed world, or in to use a different term, in the United States, Canada, etc., will probably do well in Latin America. There's always
Mhm.
a hunger for new products, but products that have already been tested, products that already work. Um, that's another way. Agriculture is a very good way to focus on Latin America, and agriculture comes with it's not just growing things, it's that you have to have the logistics and the transportation of moving the produce from wherever you're producing it up north. So
Correct.
any investment in agriculture is necessarily also an investment in logistics and transportation. um, and those have tended to do very well.
Mhm.
Any type of trucking, any type of warehousing, any kind of logistics types of businesses, since they're included in the general topic of transportation for this talk, you
Yeah.
can find companies in transportation do well. Airlines are not doing so well, but trucks and buses and other forms of transportation
Yep.
are doing fine, because you still need to bring in all those goods. And Latin America is really an export machine, especially of edible things into the US. You know, you name it, it's
Yep.
probably grown in Latin America, even though you buy it at the local supermarket.
I love it. Well, Julio, as we're coming up to close here, any closing thoughts that you have as people are looking at these three industries again, travel, transportation, hospitality? Any other closing thoughts as to what's going on or where things may go here in the near future before we get to where everyone can find you?
Um, I think we need a little patience. I think we have to look at, this year is almost over. There are some
Mhm.
probable changes in the horizon in terms of the pandemic. I think at some point there's going to be a gradual go back to normal, even if we experience that second wave, or that we're probably already experiencing a second wave. Um, but I, you know, there people, if you can make it through the next few months, there is going to be pent up demand. Projects that didn't get started that now need to start, investments that weren't made in 2020 that will need to be made in 2021. So
Mhm.
hang in there, try to lower your costs, try to keep a low profile, and maybe start looking at potential sources of financing in in January or February. In the meantime, however, you can call us, New York Bay Capital. We do have some ideas, and we do appreciate people with interesting ideas, and we like to back them.
Mhm.
um, we don't do many investments a year, but we do enough, and all of our investments, we hope, are with backing entrepreneurs that are interesting, long-term, original thinkers.
Mhm.
And if we meet someone like that, we're not going to let him go by telling him or her to be patient. We're going to try and figure a way to at least entice them to stick around with us, for some time. So the way to find us is New York Bay Capital has a website, nybaycapital.com. I'm on LinkedIn as Julio A. Marquez. It's pretty easy to find me. And we welcome emails. Info at nybaycapital.com is sometimes websites have this info at, and you
Mhm.
really don't know if anyone even reads it. I can assure you that an email sent to info@nybaycapital.com gets read not only by one person, by 3 or 4 different people, all
Wow.
of whom are copied. And, um, you know, all of us are looking for different things. There are several partners, and it's really an efficient way of communicating with us. I wish and hope that other VC funds were that easy to access. Sometimes they're not, but an email to us we guarantee a response.
Wonderful. Well, Julio, thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts and insights around these three areas of travel, transportation, hospitality, and even sharing more about the Latin America, so LATAM market to our audience as well. Again, it's a great opportunity for so many to take a look at, and also should be reaching out to you to continue that conversation as well. And thank you so much, audience, for tuning in today. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Do reach out if you'd like to be on a show like today, like Julio and other investors as well. We'd love to find the right industry, topic, technology, or region around the world for you to speak about as well. And entrepreneurs, again, there is an opportunity for you here at VCTV to get up and pitch us as investors focused on your area to get more feedback on your company, product, and or service, along with building a foundational relationship with us as investors interested in your area and exposure to our outstanding live audience as well. And a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. Make sure to reach out. Thank you, Julio. Make sure you reach out to Julio and NY Bay, or New York Bay Capital, and team if you have anything that you want to talk to further about Latin America and or the areas we spoke about today: travel, transportation, and hospitality as well. You can find me, Kyle Ellicott, your host, everywhere online at Kyle Ellicott. We'll be back here with more VC